I'm Scott Johnson, technical agronomist for the west half of southeast Iowa.
And I'm George Cattermas, the agronomist for the eastern half of southeast Iowa.
And I'm Doug Doty, the technology development rep for Monsanto that's responsible for the southeast part of Iowa.
One of the things we wanted to talk to you today about is we're kind of at that time of the year where fungicides are getting talked about quite regularly. Tassels are popping. We saw our first plane fly over here this afternoon. And we want to talk a little bit about what to expect for disease pressure and maybe specifically varieties that might be one that we want to call out. So, Doug, as you've got a disease triad here, but are you finding much disease pressure in the field itself?
Well, so far on this site, and here again we're at Victor, Iowa, and my main research site. At this site, I've not seen a lot of disease pressure yet. There are a few lesions of gray leaf spot, and that's something probably is going to be the most pronounced, I guess, if my predictions are right based on the weather at this point.
What kind of weather pattern we look for when we're looking at gray leaf spot?
Gray leaf spot likes warmer weather, 85 and higher temperatures with humidity and moisture, and we've certainly had that. Certainly other parts of the state are worse than we are. We've not had an overabundance of rainfall, but we still have had that humidity here as of late.
Yeah. So we're looking for a little gray leaf spot potential. George, what else?
In recent years, we've had a lot of northern corn leaf blight, but as warm as we've been early this year, that's more of a cool temperature disease. It still likes wet weather, but likes temperatures in the 70s, not the 90s.
Okay. And we mentioned earlier, there's not a lot of disease out there yet, but that's part of why we would be thinking about using a fungicide now, because we want to get up before we start seeing lesions. Once you start seeing lesions, we can't recover that injured tissue. So it's really kind of betting on what the weather is for the next few weeks, and with the heat and humidity doesn't seem to be breaking. It's a little bit hot out here right now.
Yeah. Well, and I think you've got to look at, the crop rotation for one thing. You're almost always going to find more disease in corn following corn because you've got the disease pathogen living in the residue. So those would be the fields I'd look at first and typically put a higher priority on those normally. Yeah. And when you go out to scout right now, I don't know that we could find anthracnose leaf spot right now, but it could show up very fast. So,
and again, that's something that would, corn to corn would be worse because of the residue.
Yeah.
How about rust? Common rust, southern rust?
Well, it doesn't overwinter in Iowa, right?
Yeah, right. Southern rust is mainly, the rust that reduces yield, and it has to be blown in because you're right, George, it does not overwinter. Historically, southern rust blows in later in the season, but there again, it's depends on the weather patterns that we get. So right now we've not experienced any of that, but it's something to certainly watch out for. And it is a disease that will impact significantly the yield.
We're talking about weather, we're talking about fungicide, but really, probably the main thing we need to start looking at considering fungicide is really the hybrid.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've already talked about the weather, and we most people understand the disease triangle, where you've got to have the environment, you've got to have the pathogen, and then you look at the susceptibility of your hybrid. So when you're thinking about hybrids and considering whether to spray or not to spray, really you need to look at that seed guide to know what the disease ratings are on there, because Monsanto and the brands put a lot of emphasis in putting those ratings together and screening for these diseases. And